We back at it again, man. She cheated on him. He became a millionaire. She gonna want him back. Blah blah blah. We about to get right into it, man.
The manga begins telling us the story of a boy named Wang Bin, who is quite popular at school, but although many girls are looking for him, he is in love with one in particular. Also tells us that this boy is very good at video games, and has achieved a system that allows him to enter a post-apocalyptic world, full of many riches and many dangers. He will have to survive there for 7 days, but within the game he meets a girl, which tells Wang that he will do what he says in exchange for food. And in a change of scene we return to the school with Wang, who introduces us to the girl he is in love with, and her name is Zhao Qian. But Wang also
They get right into it, don't they? All right, he's a. Did they say he was super smart at technology and he's able to get into the game?
tells us that he must find a job to get money to please the girl. But although he spends it working, all the money he earns is spent on appointments, and in the end he is left with nothing again. But returning to the theme of the game, Wang was playing, and managed to pass the whole game in a very short time. So the game system congratulates him for being one of the first to finish it. And the game makes him a unique offer, which is that he must decide if he wants to travel to this apocalyptic world, and there he will find many riches and unique rewards. But if he dies in this world, he will also die in the real world. So Wang stops to think about the consequences, but it seems that he likes the action, so he accepts the mission. And then the game system shows him the rules, among which is not to die because he will die in the real world. It also mentions that he must survive for 7 days, and that 1 day in the real world is equivalent to 7 days in the apocalyptic world, and that he has 4 hours to prepare himself before traveling. So he excitedly thinks about how he is going to prepare himself. So he thinks about going to the store to buy some things to carry in a big backpack. But when he realizes he had already spent all his money, because he was with his girlfriend before, so he
Hey, it'd be like that. Women are expensive, I'm not gonna lie.
goes to borrow money from his friends. Then we meet Hong Fei and Lai Ping, who he hasn't seen for some time, but his friends ask him what he is doing there. But before Wang could speak, the guys guess what he is going to, so they give him all the money they have. Obviously it is borrowed. Then these two take Wang out of the room and tell him not to spend it all on his girlfriend. And Wang, being outside, promises that when he comes back from the post-apocalyptic world, he will be rich and then he will pay them back for the favor they just did him. Later Wang is almost ready to go to the post-apocalyptic world, and he bought some things like food, resources, and first aid stuff. He also bought a shovel. He just needs to call his girlfriend to say goodbye. But when he calls the girl, she answers him a little indifferent, because in fact this woman is dating another man, who asks the girl who is calling her at this hour. But the girl tells him that it was just someone
Fuck no, they're not putting this in the Manhwa, bro. She's not like that. About to be crammed by another dude. I do. Oh, that's wild. Women. Oh, not just women. Guys do it too. But women. Oh.
important. It is about to be midnight and finally Wang, after a strange feeling, travels to the post-apocalyptic world and appears in a building. So he stops to look out the window and indeed, there are zombies out to say goodbye. But when he calls the girl, she answers him a little indifferent, because in fact this woman is dating another man, who asks the girl who is calling her at this hour. But the girl tells him that it was just someone unimportant. It is about to be midnight and finally Wang, after a strange feeling, travels to the post-apocalyptic world and appears in a building. So he stops to look out the window and indeed, there are zombies outside the place. But Wang knows that it is not necessary to go out and kill zombies. Rather, he plans to be as stealthy as possible, in order to avoid unnecessary fights, and also to investigate more of the place. He also finds out that zombies are sensitive to noises, so Wang keeps walking while thinking about looking for treasures. But soon he realizes that something is following him, so he wonders if it is a zombie with AI or is it a survivor, or someone who could also travel to that world. However, Wang knows that if it is a human then he could be in grave danger, so he runs away to try to hide, because he is aware that if he dies there then he will also die in the real world. Finally Wang arrives to a safe place and waits to see who is following him, but he hears something very strange and suddenly some nice little creatures appear above him. And
I want to say I apologize for the webcam and where it's at and everything. I've never seen a manhwa edited like this. It's pretty cool.
then a girl appears, who tells Wang to give her all his food or else he will die in that place. So she gives Wang 10 seconds to deliver the food. But as time passes Wang thinks about how to defend himself. He even underestimates the girl for being a woman. And when time finally runs out, Wang fights back and a confrontation breaks out. But the girl quickly neutralizes Wang and puts him between a rock and a hard place. But Wang had an ace up his sleeve, so he pulls out a taser and electrocutes the girl. Now is the perfect opportunity for Wang, but he thinks it would be a shame to kill the girl, so he better share some of his food. but in return he borrows his dagger. Then Wang leaves the place, but when he is leaving the building, he runs into two bulls, two men, who also want to rob him, and suddenly a third man appears and attacks him in a very surprising way. But Wang manages to repel the attack. Also, Wang cuts the guy in the forearm and he starts to bleed. But another of the men tells him to stop the bleeding quickly or else the zombies will come because of the smell of blood. But Wang takes advantage of the situation to sneak away. However, he is trapped in a dead end. And again the men arrive, who claim to be members of a group called the Tiger Group. But the girl we had seen before is being a spectator of the scene, so she decides to go to help Wang, and throws herself behind the men and with a gesture tells Wang to be silent. So the girl hits one of the men hard in the head, and when the other two realize it, it's too late, so the other two men throw themselves against the woman, and she is
Experience the breathtaking production that leaves both audiences and critics awestruck.
very agile and manages to hit one of the guys in the back of the head. But he is very resistant and counterattacks. Then the woman tells Wang to throw him the dagger that he had taken from her before, and Wang throws it to her. Then the woman in a single movement manages to slit the guy's throat. But Wang is quite terrified by what he has just witnessed, since he had never seen someone die in such a way. In the meantime, the third man runs off and Wang tells the woman not to let him escape, or else he might bring reinforcements. But the girl stops him and tells him that they better go out and seek shelter, as the blood of the bulls two men will soon attract zombies. And while Wang follows the girl, he thinks he should be nicer to her so that they can survive together in that world. After a while and after lasting running for more than an hour, finally Wang and the girl reach a safe place. But the girl again corners Wang and threatens him, as she claims that Wang is just like other humans, and she asks him to hand over the taser with which he had previously electrocuted her. And Wang had no choice but to hand it over. But the girl's reaction was to throw the taser in the air with a kick. However, Wang tries to be friendly with the girl and tells her that she can trust him, and that Ol is willing to share his resources with her. In exchange, she will have to accompany him for 7 days in that world. But the girl assures him that all the food that Wang has is luxury. However, the girl stops to think for a second whether to trust Wang or not. And after a moment the girl decides to trust Wang. So they introduce themselves, and the girl tells him that her name is Guan Zhao, but she prefers him to call her just Zhao. And after this the girl shares a room with Wang. And
this is my first zombie manhwa type survival thing like this. Let me know what you guys think about it down in the description below. I want to get to know. If you guys got any more recommendations, let me know that as well.
Stops to look around and discovers that Zhao has everything very safe. But that's not all. Wang decides to snoop around the building to see if he finds anything of value. But after a long time looking and looking, he can't find anything interesting. But finally he finds some jewelry, and very excited Wang starts to imagine the amount of money he could get by selling these items. He may even propose to Zhao, but he quickly comes to his senses, because Wang is aware that all these things belong to Zhao. So he decides to go and ask her if maybe he has a chance to take them. But Wang was so excited that he entered Zhao's room without warning, and finds her naked. But Wang quickly apologizes to her, and runs out of the room. But when Zhao appears, she did not care at all about this that has happened. However, she asks Wang about what he wants. Then Wang tells him that if maybe he can sell the jewels that she has saved. But it seems that Zhao does not understand what Wang is talking about. However, she tells him that if he wants to take them, he can do it, since those things in that world have no value and nobody wants them for anything. Besides, Zhao tells him that in the old days that city was full of very rich people, and very surely the houses have many jewels. But it is quite strange that he wants those jewels, since they are good for nothing. However, she offers to help him gather more jewels in exchange for giving him more food. So Wang, very excited, he puts on all these pieces and asks Zhao if she is really sure he doesn't want the jewels. But she tells him that there is a house nearby where there is a big safe deposit box, and that if he wants she can guide him to go take a look because surely there are more jewels.
We about to get paid!
And Wang, super excited, tells him to go. Once they get to the place, Zhao tells him that she has tried several times to open the box, but has not been possible. Then Wang takes a look and realizes that the box has an alarm. It means that if she fails many times trying to open it, then the box will emit a very loud alarm, which is summarized in the arrival of many zombies to the place, and also notices that the box could have a breakdown, so it would not be bad to try to open it. And Zhao tells her to take the time she wants while she goes to look for more boxes. And Wang manages to open the box, and finds a large amount of gold and cash. But the money won't have any value in the real world, so he decides to keep the gold. And after a while Wang and Zhao are reunited, and while he is going through all his treasures, the girl tells him that why does he want all those things that are nothing but garbage, since they can't be eaten. And Wang tells her that he can exchange those things for more food. Then Zio gets very excited and tells him that she will help him look for more gems. But Wang is plotting to go back to the apocalyptic world after the 7 days, so she tries to communicate with some artificial intelligence in the game, and succeeds. Then Wang asks the AI where she will appear the next time she enters the game, and the system tells her that she will appear at the exact spot where she appeared the first time. That said, then Wang and Zio have a deal, but Wang asks Zio why she is so anxious about food, and she answers that the food resources in that city ran out a long time ago, and now the only thing people eat is animals. So basically the food that Wang has is considered rich people's food. And Wang asks her why they don't build vegetable and fruit crops, and the girl tells him that they have, and that even the government made a very safe place with very high walls so that people can live there, and that the walls are protected all the time by soldiers. And in passing she tells him that the government has been working on an antidote to treat the infection, but so far they haven't come up with anything. And meanwhile humanity has been forced to fight to survive, and that the only valuable resource in that world is food. And Zio also takes advantage of the situation to ask him about his origin. But Wang tells him that he is a merchant and that his job is to exchange jewelry for food. He also explains to Wang that that place is protected by traps that she has set in advance. But while the girl was talking it seems that one of her traps has been activated, and the alarmed girl goes out to look through the window. Turns out that they are a group of people who, according to the girl, belong to the White Tiger group. And quickly Wang suspects that it was the man who previously let escape, and that most likely he brought reinforcements. But Zio tells him to pack everything as quickly as possible and run away. And meanwhile we see the men, and among them there is one who seems to be the leader of the group, who is told that the girl lived around there. Then he orders his men. He orders his men to find Zio and Wang and that he wants them alive. And when Zio and Wang are leaving the place she tells him that she knows another place that is also safe. And when they arrive it turns out that the building was full of zombies, but they have no choice but to stay there and spend the night. Meanwhile Wang starts playing video games on his cell phone to avoid.
Somehow they got in a safe spot. They're just gonna say it was full of zombies. They got past it. Boo, 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 boo. Not important. I like the pace. Let's get it.
Hearing the zombies. Then Zio is very surprised, because it seems that she had never seen a phone like the one Wang has. Then she asks him if he has some music on there, and he says yes and lends her his headphones to listen to some songs. So they start listening to music together and the girl starts having memories of her childhood which makes her quite sentimental. But she quickly takes off the headphones and says that she has heard enough and that she should try not to use up her phone's battery too fast. Then Wang asks her why she cried, and Zio answers that this song made him remember those moments when he was happy with his family. Then Wang tells him that the next time he goes to the post-apocalyptic world he will bring him a phone with music. And in a moment Wang starts to feel things for the girl, but quickly recovers his sanity because he doesn't want to be unfaithful to his girlfriend. Anyway, they continue listening to music while it is dawning, until finally they fall asleep. The next day Zio explains to him that the White Tiger group is one of the biggest in the area, and that the 3 thieves they had confronted before belonged to that group. But since they let one of them escape, he most likely attracted the others, and that their leader is a very strong subordinate and is armed. He also tells him that their main base is in the highest building in the western part of the city, and while they are talking about it, Zio explains that there are 3 other groups that should also be taken into account, among which is the group of the Angry Shark which is located in the East Zone. And not only is it big but also the most powerful of the 4. There is also the group of the Bear which is located in the northern part also armed. And finally there is the Vavery Eagle group which is in the southern part, and although they are the weakest, they have explosives. Also tells her that no group attacks the territory of the other. Then Wang asks her about the treasures and if she knows where they are, and the girl tells him that after the apocalypse all the banks were looted and many of those gold bars rest in the base of the group of the Furious Shark. However, Zio warns him to forget about that gold because entering that fortress is just a suicide mission. Some time has passed and the boys are still hiding in that same building, watching the days go by. They have also seen many people patrolling around there, and they are most likely members of the White Tiger group. But they are safe because the building where they are is full of zombies on the 2nd floor. Then Wang decides to give all the remaining food to Zio, and tells her that he has to leave for 7 days to do his business, so he will leave all that for her to survive while he comes back. And the girl throws herself and hugs him very tight, and tells him why can't she stay, or can he take her? But he tells her that he can't take her, but he still promises her that he will come back and bring her lots of food. And when Wang is about to leave, he thinks about the girl, and feels bad because she is in trouble because of him. But he has no choice but to come back and bring more resources to Zio. In a change of scene we see a girl and her partner, and it seems that he wants to have sex with her in a street. But suddenly Wang appears and interrupts the occasion. but he apologizes and continues with his business. Meanwhile, Wang, quite excited, takes a deep breath and looks at his bag, which is full of jewelry and valuable items. So he decides to call his girlfriend and tell her the great news that he has become rich. And when she answers, he says that she is busy buying a house to move in with her family. But everything is a lie because she is with her lover, who tells the girl that if she finishes Wang, then he will buy her a house. Then a SLA girl tells Wang to meet her at the real estate because she has to tell him something. And Wang, very excited, goes to sell all his treasures because he wants to buy a mansion for her. And when Wang arrives at the jewelry store, he finds a girl who is the one who attends the place. Then Wang asks her for the manager, and she answers that he is very busy attending to other matters, but if he wants he can talk to her. Then Wang takes out one of her jewelry, but the girl thinks it is fake and tells him not to play games or else she will call the police. And at that moment, the man who seems to be the manager of the store comes out and tells Wang that if he allows him to see that jewel. And when Wang puts it in front of the man, he sighs and is so surprised that he shuts the woman up and tells her to go and make a coffee. Suddenly, the manager says master to Wang and invites him to talk in private. And when they meet to talk alone, the manager asks him what he wants to do with the jewel. And Wang says yes, but to give him the best offer, because if he is not convinced, then he will look for other stores that can pay him better. But in the middle of the conversation, there is a silence on both sides, and this makes Wang a little nervous. However, he knows that he must act calm and serene. Suddenly, the man cuts the silence and offers him 8 million for the jewel. But Wang tells him that how dare he give him such a low price. Then the manager quickly increases him 500,000 more, and being so, Wang accepts the deal. While inside, he celebrates because at that pace he will become more than rich. Then the man asks him about his family, but Wang tells him that this is not his problem. He also tells the man that he has 9 more jewels like that, and that if he is willing to buy them, then he will sell them to him. And the man accepts, quite excited. After they close the deal, Wang leaves the place with 64 million, and this makes him quite happy. Now he has to sell the gold bars, but he must do it in another store, so he decides to go to the real estate agency. Once Wang arrives at the real estate, he is about to buy a mansion for his parents and one for his girlfriend. And while walking around the place, he meets Quinn, his girlfriend, and she is hugging with the other guy, and they were buying a house. And Wang asks the
That's tough. We just got 64 mil. About to pull up, about to get a house for the girl, for the parents, for the girls. You know, I'm trying to do everybody right. And then she go, man, that's tough. I'm sick.
girl who is that man. But before the girl could speak, her lover speaks loudly about Wang's dress, because he looks like a street bum. Then everyone present starts to discriminate him strongly. In any case, the girl takes advantage of the situation and breaks up with Wang. And he, quite hurt, starts to ask the girl why she has made that decision. But the man interferes and tells Wang that it is too late because she has already decided to stay with him. And also they have already made the delicious. Then Wang is full of fury and hits with a strong kick to the man. But Queen slaps Wang and tells him to get lost, because they are no longer anything, and that she is happier with Lai and not with a trash like him. Meanwhile, the guards of the place arrive and tell Wang to leave by the good way or they will have to do it by the bad way. Then Wang tells them that because they treat their clients in that way. But the agent tells Wang that with that dress he could not be a client of them. And also the cheapest house is worth 600,000, and judging by his appearance, he would not be able to buy a house. So the real estate manager arrives at the site and tells Wang to please leave the place. But Wang tells him that he was interested in buying a house. But despite the way they treat their new clients, he has lost all interest in buying a house there. So he says goodbye to Quinn and wishes him luck in his life. But before leaving, the manager takes him for the man and tells him how much is the budget he has to buy a house. And Wang answers that he would like to buy a mansion of at least 20 million. But no one can believe what he said. They even think that Wang is delusional. But he tells the manager that if he proves that he has the ability to buy a house of that price, then they should get the receptionist and the guards out of the place for treating him badly. And the manager tells him that there is no problem and that if he wants they can make him a VIP client. Meanwhile, Queen tries to lift Lai from the floor, but he is very angry and hits her and throws himself against Wang. But before he can hit him, Wang throws a gold bar in his face and shatters it. Then the manager notices the gold bar, and incidentally tells Quinn that she is an interested party and to get out of his sight. And as for the manager, Wang shows him his bank account and tells him that this is the account he has the least money in. And then, the manager suddenly apologizes to him and tells him that from now on, he will be a VIP client of the real estate company, and incidentally tells the receptionist and the 2 guards to get out of the place. He will be a VIP client of the real estate company, and in passing tells the receptionist and the 2 guards to get lost from the place. But it seems that this does not make Wang happy, so he asks the manager to make them crawl on the floor. And while the receptionist and the guards are crawling around, everyone records them to upload them.
Maybe he not get a viral clip out of that.
to social networks. In a scene change, we see Wang taking a shower and thinking about everything that happened, because he has bought a 30 million mansion. And, although he didn't do it to show off, he did it because he wanted a nice place to live. Besides, he needs the security of a mansion to hide more treasures, because he plans to return to the post-apocalyptic world to bring many more treasures. Meanwhile, at the university, we see Wang's friend.
So can he not take the girl back with him? Could he? Think about it. Hold, like, question mark. Put her in the backpack.
The ones who had previously sent him money. And while they were talking about their friends, each of them received a notification that someone had sent them $1 million to their bank account. And just at that moment, Wang calls them, telling them that he sent them that money as a thank you for being so good to him. Then the guys are very surprised and ask Wang where he got so much money, and he answers that he won the lottery. And his friends ask him how much he won, and he answers that he won $1 billion. His friends warn him that they found out what happened the night before with Lai, and they tell Wang to be very careful because Lai will not hesitate to take revenge. But Wang tells them not to worry and that they will see each other in a few days. After that, Wang arrives at his parents' house and tells them that he has won the lottery, and gives them all the money he had left. And then he goes to look for someone, and when he arrives at the site to meet with that someone, it turned out to be Wang's uncle. So he tells Wang to go ahead, and if he needs anything, he would be happy to help him. And Wang tells him the truth. He is there because he wants to buy one of his rifles. But Wang's uncle suspects that he is going to get into trouble. But Wang tells him that he is not going to do anything wrong. He is just going to graduate soon and wants to go with his friends to practice hunting in the forest. Then his uncle tells him that as long as he is not going to do anything illegal, then he can lend him a rifle, and that he can forget about the money, since they are family. Then his uncle tells him that he is not going to do anything illegal, so he can lend him a rifle. Then Wang's uncle goes up to his room, and when he comes down, he gives him the rifle that he used to go hunting.
Stutter what?
He also gives him a bottle of anesthesia, but warns him that he should not smell it for a long time or the consequences would be so serious that it could cause his death. He also warns him to hide the gun very well from the authorities, or else they will confiscate the rifle and will fill him with fines. Then Wang thanks him and leaves. The day is almost over and Wang is ready to go back to the post-apocalyptic world. This time he carries a lot of food, a rifle, and also a phone full of music for Zhao, and also he has bought a whole arsenal of explosives along with some daggers, and many more things. So Wang decides to enter, and the game AI warns him that there is a live person 10 meters away from the regeneration point, and that if he wants to travel anyway. And Wang accepts, and so he enters again. And after this he meets again with Zhao. She is very excited and receives him very affectionately, and he tells her that she should not feel sad since he promised her that he would come back. He also tells her that he has brought a lot of food and that they should sit down to eat together while they talk. But Wang notices that the girl has wounds on her body, so he asks her what happened to her, and she answers that after he left, the leader of the White Tiger group offered his men a juicy reward for her head. Then she went out to look for news about him to find out if he was safe, but they discovered her and attacked her. But fortunately she was able to save herself and escape. Then Wang promises the girl that he will protect her and make them pay for what they did to her. And after this Wang shows Zhao all the things he brought, a rifle and plenty of food for a month. And he also shows her the cell phone he bought her. And this touches Zhao a lot, so she thanks him for everything. And while they continue eating and the day ends, Wang tells us that during his absence in the post-apocalyptic world, the White Tiger Gang and the Bear Gang had strong clashes due to the food shortage, but there were not many people injured, and others decided to withdraw from the groups in order to look for a better life. That said, Wang has something in mind, and he plans to destroy the Tiger Gang and the Bear Gang, but he will not do it directly. Rather, he plans to provoke them, so that they confront each other and destroy each other. So he tells Zhao to get ready because tonight they will start with the plan. But Zhao asks him how it would be possible to do that. But for that Wang had brought some explosives which he will use, and since the Bear Gang is the only one with explosives, then the Tiger Gang will think it was them, and so he will create confusion. But the problem would be to go and place the explosives in the key points, since that implies entering their strongholds, which would be difficult since those areas are heavily guarded. But Zhao tells him that that won't be a problem, since the Tiger Gang usually turn off the lights in their strongholds at night, and after 8 PM no one is awake. Also, Zhao knows that they don't always guard all the areas. There are areas that are free, so they should take advantage of that. After hearing this, Wang gets excited because then the plan wouldn't be so complicated to execute. Night comes and Zhao and Wang get into action, and they manage to get into the White Tiger Gang building. Then Zhao tells Wang to head to the 5th floor, because most likely the treasures are there. And Wang then guesses that if the treasures are on the 5th floor, then the strongest members of the gang are on the 4th floor. So he sneaks past the guards who are quite deep. And when they get to the 5th floor, they see 2 gang members pass by who are talking about how little food they have left. and also how to exterminate the bear group to steal their food. But after that, the men leave the place and Wang and the girl approach, and discover that on the other side of the door is the gang leader's room. But the girl tells Wang that why don't they wait for the gangs to confront each other, since they heard that they were going to confront each other. But Wang tells her that he will have to leave again in 7 days, and that time is not a luxury they can afford. The problem is that they need to lock that door, but it has a padlock. So the girl tells him not to worry and to leave the matter of the padlock in her hands. And while Zhao starts to open the lock, down on the 2nd floor, just where they had entered before, a group of zombies enters and starts shouting to alarm everyone else. And going back to Zhao, he finally manages to open the door and they finally enter the room where they have all the resources. So Wang tells Zhao to get to work, but she starts to take food to throw it in her pockets. However, she tells him that she will only take a little as she feels sorry for all that food to fly up in the air. But Wang tells her not to load up so much as it will affect them to escape later, and also reminds her that she already has enough food. But meanwhile, they hear the gang members shouting that a group of zombies have entered the building. So Wang tells her to get out of the place fast because things have gotten out of control. Meanwhile, the gang members warn their leader that the building has been invaded, but he notices that the supply room has been opened. So they quickly go over to observe and discover all the dynamite set up all over the place, and ready to explode. And indeed, the tiger leader blames the bear gang. So the whole plan has been a complete success. And while Wang and Zhao sneak through the air ducts of the building, Wang thinks that now they have to execute the next part, which is to make the other two groups fight. After this, Zhao comes out of the ducts and tells Wang that he can come out too. But suddenly a horde of zombies arrives to the site. So Zhao plans to distract them so that Wang can leave too. But at that moment, a man from the tiger group arrives and discovers Zhao. Then he realizes that the ones who made the attack were not the bear gang but the girl. But before the man could warn the others, she kills him with a shot to the head. But a zombie attacks her from behind, and Wang manages to save her. And between the two of them, they manage to finish off the horde of zombies. And they return home, very tired and hungry. So they decide to celebrate the success of their mission by sharing food. And after this, Wang tells Zhao that he is going to take a bath and rest. So he recommends her to do the same. Once in the room, Wang communicates with the game's AI, because moments before it had warned him about a message he had in his inbox. So Wang tells him to show him the message. Then the AI shows him the statistics panel, and explains that in this panel he can better understand his skills. But Wang is not very happy with his statistics because according to him, every day he exercises at the university, and the statistics that the AI put him are quite low and remain in the category of normal. But the AI tells him not to worry because that normal level is graded according to the level of the apocalyptic world. But Wang is still a little dissatisfied, so he asks the AI how he can raise his stats level. And the AI tells him that the stats are raised using the gold found in the city. And you can also...
Do these stats carry over to real life too? To his actual life? Or just in-game? Question mark.
So unlock a lottery system in which you can win food, weapons, attributes, and some other things that will be very useful. But Wang asks about the amount of gold you need to make improvements. Then the AI tells him that the first upgrade has a cost of 1,000 kilos of gold. And after paying this price, he will also unlock an inventory of 50 cubic meters which he can access whenever he wants. But Wang assures him that this is too much money. However, the AI tells him that he should not be discouraged, as this price is really low for all the benefits he will receive in return. In addition, it also tells him that if he gets the skill book, then he will be able to study, learn, and improve them, thus greatly increasing his chances of survival. So he starts to like the situation, and he knows that he needs to be stronger if he wants to achieve his goal of wiping out the 4 groups. In any case, Wang asks if unlocking these benefits has any side effect, and the system answers that there is no side effect. Then said this, the conversation ends and Wang reorganizes all his ideas.
He's very cautious, ain't he? Asking a lot of questions. As you should. But hey, I'm like, F it. Let's do it.
Because now the main objective is to gather all the other that is required to buy the upgrade. So Wang goes back to the room where Zhao is, and finds her drunk and asleep, because she had drunk all the beer he had brought. So he picks her up and takes her to bed. And when he puts her to bed, he stares at her, and thinks about how good Zhao has been to him. Plus she is very beautiful and her body is crazy. But soon he comes to his senses, since it is not good to take advantage of a drunk woman. So he decides to go take a shower. So he leaves the place, and when he closes the door, Zhao wakes up quite upset, since she was expecting Wang to touch her. But he did not do it. The next day, Wang tells Zhao that they will go to the east. And after a while...
Wait, she wanted to be touched? Wildin'.
Of walking, the girl stops and Wang asks her what is going on. Then Zhao says that there is someone nearby because there is a smell of grilled meat. So Zhao without hesitation rushes to follow the smell, but it was all a trap to lure them. But Wang and Zhao managed to sneak up and discovered that all this was the work of the tiger's gang. and Zio tells him that this small group of people is led by a man named Chen, and that he was previously from the shark group but now belongs to the tiger group. Then Zio and Wang stay watching the scene, and they realize that the men are heading towards a building where apparently there is someone. And when they get to the door, a girl yells at them to stop or she will shoot them, and asks the men what they want. Well, it turns out that they found out that she had married a wild boar, so Chen's plan is to steal the meat to take it to the tiger group. And as Wang watches, Zio tells him that the girl who is inside that building used to be a police officer, and her name is Mio, and that building is her base since the chaos started. Plus, she is not alone. There is another policeman named Lai, but he was seriously injured in the leg, so Mio has been taking care of Lai all this time. There are also children and women inside the building. Then Wang thinks about what Zio has told him, and it could be an opportunity to create a group to destroy the shark. But meanwhile, the tense situation continues at the entrance of the building. Then we meet Mio, who is on the back side of the window, watching the men who want to enter to steal his food. However, the man outside threatens her, and tells her that he doesn't want to go to extreme measures. But Mio shoots one of the men. Then this infuriates the leader, who orders all the others to attack without mercy. Then a shootout is formed. And meanwhile, Mio thinks about how complicated the situation is, since she lacks ammunition. Meanwhile, her partner Lai tells her that he will go to buy time while she comes up with a plan. And at the same time, Wang and Zio are watching the whole scene. Then Wang tells Zio to prepare the rifle and aims at one of the men who is heavily armed, and Zio manages to hit him in the head. Now the situation for the bandits is quite complicated, because they are cornered, receiving fire from two flanks. Then Mio wonders who is helping them. Then the bandits' leader starts looking in the building where Wang and Zio are, because he wants to find those who are shooting at his back. Meanwhile, the officer takes advantage of the situation to go to help his partner, and when he comes down, he had already killed two bandits, and he asks the officer why he came.
Your friends are helping you renovate. You know you owe them dinner, right?
Delicious Schwann's home deliveries in the freezer.
That free?
Came down, and she answers that things have calmed down a bit and it seems that there is someone helping them. Meanwhile, Chen's group is quite scared, because they believed in the words that their informants had told them, which assured them that Mio basically had nothing to defend himself with. So Chen decides to lean out a little and shout to Mio to negotiate peacefully, and the officer asks her what she wants them to talk about. Then Chen tells her to please let them go peacefully and that they will not bother her again in the future. Then the officer agrees and lets them escape. But Chen whispers quietly about her desire for revenge. But Wang caught up with the whispers, so he tells Zio to shoot. But this misses because the target is already too far away from the range of the gun he has. However, Wang tells him not to worry and to cover him, as he will go to talk to Mio. Then Wang approaches the building with his hands up and tells Mio that he just wants to cooperate with her to destroy the 4 gangs in the place, and that he doesn't have much time to waste, so please accept his proposal. Then Mio accepts Wang's proposal, but first warns him not to try to do anything stupid. And when Wang enters the place, he is chased by Mio, who tells him to leave all his stuff on the floor. Then Wang tells her not to be nervous and that he doesn't bring anything else but food. However, he throws all his things on the floor, and one of the children in the building checks what is inside his bag, and discovers that it is full of snacks. Then Wang tells Mio that if she agrees to cooperate with him, then there will be a lot more food. In any case, Mio agrees to negotiate with Wang and tells him to talk on the 2nd floor. When they get to the 2nd floor, Wang realizes that there he is, the officer's partner, and many helpless people who look at Wang with great distrust. However, Mio apologizes for the way the others look at him, but he is aware that he is a complete stranger, so he doesn't judge them. Then the officer goes to the point and asks Wang about his interests, and he answers that they should work together to finish with the shark gang. But this proposal is completely outlandish for Mio and Lai. But Wang tries to convince them by telling them that all they have to do is provoke the gangs to exterminate each other, and after that, they would only have to watch. But the officer refuses to accept, because her main duty is to protect the children, and she also emphasizes that her partner Lai is injured, and for these reasons, she simply refuses to accept the proposal, since she does not want to put anyone at risk.
Smart lady.
But Wang tells her to think about it one more time, because if she agrees to cooperate with him, then he will be able to bring them much more food than they had seen in her bag before. But it seems that seeing so much food is not something normal for Mio, so she asks Wang about his identity and origin. She also asks him where he gets so much food from, but Wang tells her that she should not care about that and not to try to change the subject. She should tell him if she is willing to cooperate with him. Then the officer stops for a second to think about it, because if she accepts to work with him, then she would not have to keep risking herself to go to look for food outside. Anyway, she asks her partner what he thinks, and he answers that whatever decision she takes, he will help her. However, she keeps thinking about it, and the other members try to encourage her to decide to cooperate with Wang. because according to them, they prefer to take the risk of fighting against the shark gang, to always be hidden and full of fear. But Wang tries to calm the situation down a little and tells the others not to pressure her, because for her it's a hard decision to make. Then Mao tells Wang that before making a decision she wants to hear what the plan is like, because if he wants to finish off the shark gang, he's probably already thought of how to do it. So Wang tells her that he already managed to make the bear and tiger gangs fight each other. Now if she cooperates with him, then they will do exactly the same but with the other two gangs. Furthermore, Wang tells her that he has enough supplies and ammunition to cause quite a ruckus. So she agrees, but because her partner is wounded and the other members are just kids with their mothers, so she tells Wang that only she will go. The others will stay. But Wang tells her that she is more than enough. Then Xiao arrives at the site, who had picked up a weapon that the bandits had left a while ago. In all that time, Wang tells her that if she doesn't like that weapon, then he can get her a better one. However, the officer asks Wang if there are more people with them, and Wang tells her that there are only the two of them, and now together with her there would be three. And meanwhile, the officer's partner enjoys very cautiously a can of beer. He also says that some cigarettes wouldn't be bad at all, and Wang tells him that the next time he comes he will bring him some. He also offers a can of beer to the officer, and she is quite pleased and enjoys it. And while everyone is enjoying the situation, outside there is a loud explosion. It seems that the bear and tiger gangs are fighting a fierce fight. Meanwhile, the officer tells Wang that she has one last question to ask him, and that is how come he has so much food and resources. Why doesn't he just leave with Xiao and make a new life somewhere else? And why does he want to eliminate these gangs? And he answers the officer that although he is not very knowledgeable about the area, what he can be sure of is that these gangs have done a lot of evil to people because of defending their interests, and he doesn't agree with that. That's why he wants to exterminate those gangs. But deep down, Wang thinks that for no reason should the officer find out that their true objective is gold. So Wang calls the boy who is with them, and when he approaches, Wang hands him the gun that Xiao had picked up earlier, and tells him that even though he is just a child, it is his duty to protect his little sisters, so use the gun when necessary, all to protect them. And after this they all decide to go to rest, because the plan is to start everything the next day. The next day, Wang, Xiao, and the officer go to the Shark Gang building, and thanks to the extensive knowledge of the area that the officer has, they manage to get there very quickly and go unnoticed. However, they discover that the whole area is heavily guarded by the gang members, but fortunately not all of them are armed. So after noticing this, the officer suggests to Wang that they should first finish with those who have guns, and suddenly the girls start shooting and manage to neutralize a few. But quickly Wang stops them and tells them to go and start a fight with the other gang. Meanwhile, the leader of the Sharks is quite furious about what happened. So one of the members suggests that maybe it was the Eagle gang that provoked this, so they should go and attack them. But the leader is more astute and prefers to send her men to investigate the conflict that the other two gangs are having, because according to her, there may be the possibility that someone deliberately provoked these conflicts, and instead of confronting the Eagle gang, she thinks of making an alliance with them to get to the bottom of this matter. On the other hand, in the main office of the Eagle members, many men are with their leader playing a little, and suddenly one of the sentries arrives alerting the others that there is a man of his gang on fire. And in the meantime, Wang and the girls collect some weapons that belong to the sentries of the Shark gang, and Xiao arrives at the place, who has a torch in her hand and tells Wang that the next part of the plan is ready. So Wang tells the girls to leave the place, because everything is ready, and the four gangs are disputing in a conflict that none of them wants to give into. Once they get home, Wang starts practicing a few shots, but he's pretty lousy with guns. So Mao arrives and tells him that at that rate the only thing he'll do is to run out of ammunition. And surprised, Wang asks her what she's doing there at that hour, since she should be sleeping. But she tells him that she just went to get some air, and in a flirtatious way thanks him for showing up in her way. She also tells him a little of her past life before the apocalypse, and it turns out that she and her whole squad of policemen had the task of protecting the survivors. But little by little her squad was disintegrating due to the lack of food. They were killing each other, and only she and Lai, who has always been faithful to his ideas. This made her lose faith in herself, because she believed that she was not able to protect anyone. But thanks to Wang, she regained the desire to survive with her friends. She also tells him that some of the leaders of those four gangs used to be criminals and were captured by her, so it is not surprising that now they want revenge. But Wang tries to give her some moral support so she does not feel so bad, and as a form of gratitude she wants to teach him to use weapons. And after giving him some instructions, Wang manages to shoot successfully, and that's how the first part of this Manhwa ends. Well guys,
so what do you guys think, man? You like it so far? Definitely interesting, definitely different. I don't know where they're going from here. The goal is just gold. Gold was really just getting money back, right? Now he's like doing the whole war thing. You need some. I don't know where it's going, but I do kind of like it so far. So I see y'all the next video though, man. 'Cause we getting wrong, we getting popping, Catch y'all.